What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another One Human video. Weapon tier list. Now, we are playing, however, in a new server, so the meta is a little bit, changed a little bit. Some guns got a little bit of a nerf. Joe's got a buff again. Like, what? Ladies and gentlemen, we have the whole list of weapons in the game. If I missed a weapon, then... God damn it, dude. I don't think I missed a weapon, though, right? The Bullseye, Power Surge, Frost Vortex, Unstable Bomber, Fortress Warfare, Burn, Shrapnel, Fast Gunner, and then Bounce, which is marked in a very interesting color, I would say. We're gonna probably start with the worst weapons to the best weapons, right? We shall make it more interesting, so the best weapons are on the end of the video, I guess. You could just skip through it, but... By the way, we're gonna do a PvE tier list and PvP, so you guys don't get mixed. Because, I care about both player base, PvE and PvP. Obviously, some guns are very good in PvE, but some guns are absolute garbanzo in PvP. Let's start off with the Mg4 Wrath of Haze BP. 40% chance to trigger Fast Gunner when hitting a target. Fast Gunner refills 1 bullet from inventory to the secondary weapon. After defeating a target, restores 1 bullets from inventory to the secondary weapon. No damage bonuses, nothing. Literally triggering Fast Gunner, and that's it. I probably tried this weapon only once, and it was just terrible. It felt terrible. And the fact that it has no damage bonuses on the passive, nothing else, just a chance to trigger Fast Gunner, which is just already a no-no for me. So I'm just gonna put this gun straight into, where. Bada bing for PvE, D tier, aka Poopsie Garbanzo is what are we gonna call it? There you go, first gun, established. As for PvP, I would probably make 3 new tiers and put it in the very lowest tier, basically. Then let's go to the bounce weapon that we have. The Squidward. Going in game, let's read their stats. Squidward, where is it? Mr. Squid, actually. Crit hits have a 90% chance to trigger bounce. When bounce hits, weapon damage plus 2% up to 50 stacks. 1 stack is removed every 5 seconds. After continuously firing for 2 seconds, bounce targets plus 1. Now, this seems interesting, right? And you gain plus 2% weapon damage up to 50 stacks. 1 stack is removed every 5 seconds. The gun sounds interesting. You would build this gun off crit. Maybe mix it up with a little bit of a weak spot damage, mix it up with some crit. But it's definitely a crit build though, because obviously if the more crit you have for this weapon, the more you're gonna trigger bounce, since triggering bounce is based off crit and it's 90% to trigger it. However, if you don't crit, you won't trigger bounce, so it makes the weapon useless. I think this weapon is like a C tier, maybe B tier. It could be a B tier if it's like, if you get to like optimize it real good. As well as if we check our cradle perks right now, bounce got buffed. It got buffed, bruv. So if you take a look, bounce rampage after landing a bounced shot, bounce damage plus 10% for 15 seconds up to 5 stacks. So you'll gain 50% damage increase for bounce. And then with this one, after triggering bullet effects, bounce and shrapnel, bullet effect damage plus 25% for 4 seconds. Bounce could be meta, brother. Kuma Vink, could be meta, chat. We're gonna put this gun for PvE in B tier, bounce. But for PvP, this gun is Poopsie Garbanzo. Because, there's always that one person, man, that there's gonna be like, let me just go with this bounce weapon. I'm gonna start using it from phase 1 till phase 6, and they're just gonna make it work somehow. So, this weapon is like a B to C-ish tier, but I didn't bother trying it because it's just, I cannot keep farming mods for like 20 million different builds because you have to optimize these builds. Next up, we have the blue revolver. We go to blueprints. This is a free blueprint. Everyone can get it. Literally from the tier 1 area, everyone can get it. It's 30% chance to trigger Fast Gunner when hitting a target. Fast Gunner grants weapon damage plus 30% for 3 seconds. It also has a buff by impact, and impact deals 25% more damage against players in PvP. This gun is good early game. Like, you will one-tap zombies mostly in the head if you shoot them. Sometimes 1 to 2 shots to kill them, but the most important one is the impact buff. It basically lets you do 25% more damage against other players. That goes with any gun that has impact buff on it. Deals more damage against protocell. And players are considered protocell. Same as zombies, but not deviants though. By the way, I'm going to try to keep this a little bit shorter because there's a lot of guns to talk about today. For PvE, we're going to put this gun on C tier. And this gun for PvP is going to be on C early game. If it's end game, there you go. It's Poopsie Garbanzo. But I'll put it in C tier for early game. Obviously, for end game, you don't want to use this. Next up, we have the Div Evo Shrapnel. Going in game, let's check the Div Evo. It's obtained by completing your silo tasks, quests or whatever they're called, side quests, sorry. 25% chance to trigger shrapnel, already a turnoff. Any defeat increases the chance of triggering shrapnel by 80% for 12 seconds. That 80%, by the way, is to the base chance. So our base chance is 25%. If we did 25% plus 80%, it would be total 45% chance to trigger shrapnel once you defeat an enemy. And then you hitting a weak spot will grant you +1 shrapnel target parts. What that means is, if you take a look at Beret, it will just hit +1 shrapnel more. And that's literally all this gun does. No damage bonuses, nothing else, just shrapnel, straight shrapnel. Honestly, it's an SMG, and Shrapnel SMG is kinda because if you take a look at this Cam Pioneer BP AK, it's way better than this Div Evo. I would prefer to use the blue AK instead of the purple Shrapnel SMG. But when I see guns that have a 20% chance or 30% chance to trigger something, that's already like crappy in my eyes. So Div Evo SMG Shrapnel is gonna be in C tier. It's usable, but close to D tier, basically. For PvP, this gun, we're gonna put it in Poopsie Garbanzo. This gun was S tier in CBT2. This gun right here. In PvP, it was there. Right there. But it got nerfed. Alright, I made it like this so you guys can know if it's PvP or PvE. Moving on to the sniper, the Burn Sniper. HAMR. I'm from Lithuania, dude. I can't speak English. But anyways, this gun is 60% chance to trigger burn with a weak spot hit. Burn damage plus 10%. Listen, yeah, that's just going straight into the D tier right there. Maybe you can make it somewhat usable, but why would you just do that? Just get yourself a better gun, dude, at this point. You will not hit weak spots 100% of the time, not even 40% of the time. It's like 30% of the time you will hit weak spots. And I'm talking about PvE and PvP as well. This gun is definitely going to be going into the Poopsie Garbanzo D tier. Next up is the gold Crossbow compound bow. It got buffed in the recent update. I tested it, and my thoughts is that it's okay-ish, but you get to shoot only 1 bolt, and you need to have magazine capacity to get 2 bolts. It's possible to get 3 bolts in your crossbow, but you need magazine capacity substats. This gun is definitely not useful for PvP. For PvE, it might be useful, but still, there's shotguns, SMGs, pistols. Why would you use a 3-shot weapon, and then you take like 2 seconds to reload it? Yes, it triggers unstable bomber, but still, man. You have to shoot, reload. The only beneficial thing this weapon has is hitting a weak spot has a 40% chance to automatically reload 1 crossbow bolt. You have a chance. It's not guaranteed. If it was guaranteed, or if it was like 80% to 90%, then that would be, you know, somewhat good. You gotta rely on that weak spot hit. Of course, there are mods that if you kill an enemy, you will reload your bolts, so that will help for the gun. But then you're trading ammunition for damage. You're trading to get ammo instead of doing more damage. Crossbow is gonna be for PvE in a C tier. It could be B tier if it's very well optimized, like, and then obviously when you hit the bolt on the enemy, full stacks is gonna trigger unstable bomber. It does AoE damage, which is cool, but still. Well, at least you use arrows though, so you don't use acid for ammo. That's the good thing, but still. B-ish to C tier, but I'm still gonna put it in C tier though. For PvP, this weapon is in D tier for sure. Even after a buff, dude. Devs, you need to buff him more, man. You gave Jaws like 10 million buffs. Hello? Let's talk about the Shrapnel Glock Dusty, or whatever it's called. For PvE, this weapon could be in B tier. Basically, the only downside it has is that if we go in game, if you check the Dusty Glock, it's a free weapon, by the way, it's obtained for free. The passive for it is 55% chance to trigger shrapnel when hitting weak spot. You will not trigger shrapnel if you don't hit the weak spot. When triggered, shrapnel no longer ignores already hit parts. You know, when you shoot in the weak spot with the shrapnel, it will never hit the shrapnel in the head. That's how it works for Scar. However, with this gun, when you hit and shoot in the head, shrapnel will hit in the head. So that's that. And it just gains weak spot damage plus 15%. Not sure why it has that, but this gun is like, it's good for PvE if you optimize it well enough. It does okay-ish damage, but Scar is definitely better than it. I will put this Glock in actually C tier. Actually, I'm gonna put this Dusty into C tier, not in B tier. And I'm thinking to move this Squid to C tier as well. Dusty is definitely C tier, and for PvP, this gun is right there. I mean, the gun is useless, bro. You have to hit headshots to trigger shrapnel. Like, come on. In PvP, you have 2 to 3 seconds to shoot a bullet, or 1 second. Bro, you're getting shot from the back and you're already dying. You're dead. Like, how are you gonna hit your headshots? You're gonna, what, turn around and hit headshots? Nah. Oh, boys, ladies and gentlemen, the next gun is the KAM AK Crank. Honestly, this is the best weapon in the game. For PvP, we're putting Crank into the S tier for sure, guys. Wait, I mean D tier. Because you need to hit it 7 times to burn an enemy. And that's it. That's all the gun does, dude, basically. Utilizes burn. Imagine you have to hit the enemy like 40 times to apply max burn stacks. By that time you hit the 30 bullets. The enemy's gonna kill you in the first 3 to 4 shots. Like, you won't even be able to fire your first 8 to 10 bullets with your AK in PvP. For PvE, this gun is C tier. Could be in B tier if you optimize this gun very well, but I'm putting this gun depending on no optimization, no mods, nothing. There are guns that are extremely good with no mods, no optimization needed. You get the gun, craft it, boom, the gun is good. Since this gun is garbanzo, as you craft it right away, and you need to optimize it so well, it's definitely in the C tier. If you get good mods for it though, B tier, yeah, sure, go in B tier if you optimize it well. Next up is the Fortress Warfare Sandstorm, the shoddy Sandstorm. What it does is switching to this weapon triggers Fortress Warfare, has a cooldown of 20 seconds. While in Fortress Warfare, weapon damage plus 10%. This gun is terrible for PvP, but it's somewhat good in PvE. You know, you swapped your weapon, and you trigger Fortress Warfare, swap back. It's like a good support weapon. So let's yoink this gun into the C tier. I could put this in B tier just because of how good it is. Fortress Warfare is good because it gives you buffs and stuff. You know, it gives you that damage boost. So I'll put it in B tier. I think any support weapon deserves to be in a B tier. For PvE, in B tier. For PvP, this gun is, again, well, actually, if you run, like, I don't know, if you're using only a sniper and, like, nothing else, let's say you're camping on a mountain during wars and you just snipe people hiding from everyone. You're just literally just camping. You're not engaging in close range quarters. You're just literally sniping long range. So basically, if you swap to this weapon, you trigger Fortress Warfare, you swap back to your sniper, and you'll just deal more damage to enemies long range. I mean, if you do that, then it's C tier. If you don't do that, this gun is useless for PvP. Next up, Little Jaws, Unstable Bomber SMG. This is very situational. Like, for PvP, this gun could be B tier, it could be S tier, but for that to work, you would need to combine it with a Icy Rain combo. So for example, someone has a Little Jaws and someone has Icy Rain. The dude freezes the enemy and you just shoot the enemy while he's frozen, and your blast damage is gonna do like, what, 10k damage or something with a Little Jaws. That could be like, I don't know, that could work, but I think this gun is like C tier for PvP because you have to hit a lot of bullets to trigger a blast, you know, damage. You don't have time, brother, in PvP. You never have time. You have time for 1 to 2 seconds to shoot a bullet. So the Little Jaws is C tier, but this gun is good only for close range. If you're medium range, a little bit further away from the enemy, is GG. This gun is literally this right here. This is where it belongs. So I'll just give this gun a C tier. Maybe it's good for early game, but end game, this gun is definitely D tier. Now for PvE, this gun is B tier, I would say. Maybe even A tier, but I'll put it in B tier because this gun basically utilizes status and elemental damage. This gun will never do crit damage. You cannot do crit damage with this. You cannot, because this gun does not crit. The blast bomb also does not crit. That's what Jaws pistol does. It crits. However, this gun does not crit, so your basic bullet damage is going to be very low while the blast damage is going to be very high, which is a disappointment. If the blast damage did crit, which would be broken. By the way, this SMG is able to do like 100k up to 80k or 60k blast damage when you trigger it, but however, you need 15 bullets to shoot to trigger it. Anyways, it's B tier because blast damage can't crit, and it's an SMG. It is good only for close range, not medium range. Next up, the Abyss Glance Frost Vortex AK. Oh, guys, this gun is literally gonna go here. You know why? Because this gun is just trash. You need a deviation to make this gun work. Any gun that has low DPS with no deviation is just straight up terrible. I get it, this gun can do 100k DPS. I get it, this gun can do 150k DPS. I get it, this gun can do 300k DPS with a deviation, but show me that DPS without a deviation. The gun does 20 to 30k DPS, my friend. Get this shit out of here, bro. I've seen some dude, like, yes, I get it, the jellyfish is good, man. It boosts your ice damage or whatever, but like, hello? Once your deviation runs out of energy, your DPS suffers by like 99%. So for PvE, this gun, I mean, actually, you know what? I'm being biased, chat. Let's be honest. This gun is definitely not D tier. It's in C tier. It's somewhat usable. Like, you can melt bosses with it. I'm not gonna lie. You can. But once deviation is gone, it's over for this gun. You have to wait 2 to 1 minute just to recharge that deviation. For PvP, god damn it, guys, I'm running out of slots. I'm running out of slots here, dude. The guns, look at all these guns. Poopsie Garbanzo tier, dude. For PvP, Abyss Glance is in, that's exactly where it is. Poopsie Garbanzo. You know, to trigger Frost Vortex with this gun, take a look at this. You need to hit the enemy 20 times. Weak spot hits counts as 2 hits. It's literally a PvE weapon. For PvP, if you use this, you are just handicapping yourself, man. Do not use this for PvP. Unless the target is standing still and you have free 20 shots or free 10 headshot hits that you can hit. Sure, it's great. I mean, people are moving in PvP. They're not standing still like mobs, you know? So yeah, that's my answer. There it is. That's the gun for PvP. Next up, Netherworld Fast Gunner Shotgun. Since this shotgun is a fast gunner and we have a Mg4, maybe it could work. You know, you have the shotgun as a secondary and a primary as this Mg4. I don't like shotguns in this game. They seem to be very weak, but they're only good for close range. If you go to medium range, the damage is gone. And even if it's close range, shotguns are sometimes just not good. You have to actually optimize them to make good damage or to deal good damage. Netherworld, I actually did not test this gun. I did test this gun in CBT3. It was poopy. I don't know. In game, if we go, the Netherworld ACS12 is when all projectiles hit, there's a 50% chance to trigger Fast Gunner. After triggering Fast Gunner 2 times, the next 1 shot will consume an additional bullet and fire an additional 5 projectiles. After reloading, when the magazine is empty, the first 12 bullets will have attack plus. If you don't hit all projectiles, you don't trigger no goddamn Fast Gunner. Like, what? Come on, man. So, if you're far range, medium range, this gun is completely garbanzo. I'm just gonna put this gun for PvE in C tier. Medium range, this gun becomes like this. D tier. I'll keep it as C tier though. Whatever. For PvP, definitely goes over here. No one's gonna use this gun in PvP, man. Let's be honest. Now, since we're talking about shotguns, let's actually get into the juicier part. Let's actually take a Power Surge Corrosion Shotgun. And where is this gun gonna be? What do you think? This gun for PvP is going to be almost in S tier or A tier. But I'm going to put it in S tier because if you get God tier, best in slot mods for this gun, and in PvP, this gun shreds. You can be in close range, you can be in medium range, you can be in long range, you can be in Narnia, dude. And the gun is literally triggering power surge damage. Pew, pew, pew. 2k, 3k, 5k, and you're getting tapped, dude. Basically, AWS Bingo can't even do that damage. So, I will put this gun in S tier. And if your mods aren't that great, then it would be probably A tier. But, so, for PvE, though, Corrosion is gonna be on B or either C tier. Same with the shotgun. It's not that strong in PvE, man. It's only good for PvP, this shotgun. But yeah, basically why it's so good for PvP is because long range, if you trigger Power Surge, it can also crit, you know? So if you crit with this Power Surge, you can deal up to 5k, 6k damage. More than Jaws, blast damage. And the funny thing is, the shotgun is a close range weapon, but you're triggering Power Surge by like 100 meters or 80 meters, wherever you are, and the damage doesn't decay. So yeah, that just sounds S tier to me, I guess. For PvP. Next up, we're gonna grab the SMG over here from Bounce. Just a quick toss into the D tier, you know, quickly, swiftly. For PvP, that is a D tier as well, right there. But I'm still gonna read its stats though, you know. So let's go. MP5 Blue Tiger, 30% chance to trigger bounce on hit, bounce damage plus 60%. I don't think anyone would use bounce early game. I mean, it could be good early game as an SMG, you know, but that would be good for like 1 to 2 days. And then once people are like level 30, 40. Next up weapon we have is the Bounce Sniper. For PvP, this gun is going to be, I guess, C tier. It's somewhat usable, but it's almost like, again, D tier almost. It's good for early game, you know. I did try this gun in CBT3, and it was okay. It did like 2 to 3k to 4k damage, and it shoots very fast. But the damage is not that high as a Black Panther, as a AWS Bingo. You will need to hit like 4 to 5, 6 shots with a sniper to kill someone if you are in level 30 or 40. Or maybe like 4 to 5 shots. But AWS Bingo can 1 to 2 shot people. So like, what's the point using this? I'll put it in C tier, I guess, for PvP. Endgame though, don't use this gun. This gun, endgame is definitely not. For PvE, this gun I will put in B tier because if you hit a headshot on an enemy in PvE, bullet is gonna bounce from the enemy to another enemy. And then to another enemy if you're wearing the key armor part. So if you make the bounce build work with good mods, it could be useful. It's gonna help you out a little bit, you know. You don't have to keep sniping enemies. You just hit them in the head, the bullet bounces to another enemy, kills another enemy. It's good for AoE damage. So for PvE, definitely B tier. The next weapon we have is the Fast Gunner Mg4. For PvP, this gun, Mg4, is Poopsie Garbanzo right there. Unless you're breaking walls with it, then I mean, let's just put it in S tier, I guess, but you don't break walls with a gun, right? You use C4s. So for PvE, the Mg4 could go in A tier, actually. You know, this gun shreds. Gun does a lot of damage. It refills bullets, or it stops bullets when you shoot, so you don't lose bullets when you shoot. It also stacks a lot of weapon damage, and also this gun is better without a key part armor. It's better with 3 Lone Wolf and 3 Renegade, so you will deal crit damage and you will deal weak spot damage. All that combined together, your weapon damage will be high, your crit damage will be high, and weak spot damage will be high. So this gun is not bad for PvE, I'll give you that. But you don't want to build weak spot for Mg4. You want to build crit damage plus weak spot damage mixed in together. Next up weapon we have is the blue AK Shrapnel. And for PvP, I'll put this gun on B tier, or I guess maybe C tier, but I'll put it on B tier because it's a AK. This gun is good for early game. I use this gun in CBT3. This gun shredded, dude, people. Everyone, even Jaws players, man. I just literally aimbotted everyone. You just shoot them and they get melted. You can make it work and just stack basically crit damage, stack weapon damage, and this gun shreds. For early game though, when you reach end game, this gun doesn't really like last that long, so it's only for like from level 10 to level 40. And then once you reach level 50, this gun is just like, just not usable anymore. You need to upgrade. So for PvP, this is gonna go B tier. For PvE, this gun is gonna go in A tier because this gun is free. You can 4-star this gun and you can complete and clear all content with this AK. Oh, and by the way, about the Mg4, the reason why we put it in A tier is because it's a legendary and it costs Star Chrome, while the Shrapnel doesn't cost Star Chrome. It's literally free and you can 4-star it, so this is why it's in A tier. So I even soloed Leolab with this AK. That's why it's in A tier. You just gotta build it properly. Shrapnel is good. However, Shrapnel got nerfed in the new server that I am in. Like if you take a look at our cradle for Shrapnel, we have only deadly combo when after triggering bullet effects, bounce and Shrapnel, bullet effect damage plus 25%. And that's it. That's the only perk or cradle perk the Shrapnel has. They've removed the Shrapnel perk from the cradle and they added a bounce. So actually, you know what? B tier for the Shrapnel AK, man, for PvE. Sorry. And C tier for the PvP one. Actually. Next up, we have the Hammerhead Shark Power Surge Pistol. PvE. Poopsie Garbanzo. PvP. Definitely, dude. I would make a new tier, literally, and just put that gun even there, man. Like, that gun is so shit. Because if you go to Blueprints and go to Hammerhead Shark, what it does is just 80% chance to trigger Power Surge when hitting a weak spot with a pistol. Weak spots are already hard to hit, dude, with pistols. And now you have an 80% chance to trigger Power Surge when hitting a weak spot? Nah, man. Nah, come on, bro. And then when hitting an enemy that is affected by Power Surge, deal 100% PSI intensity, shock damage to all enemies affected by Power Surge in the area. It's a good, you know, AoE damage weapon, but for every 4 shock damage dealt, automatically refill for 1 ammo. And the gun just feels real. It just lacks damage, dude. It lacks damage. It's a, by the way, a pistol. It's not an SMG. It's not an AR. It's a pistol. So you have an 80% chance to trigger Power Surge. You can shoot like couple, like 3 to 4 bullets and you're not gonna trigger Power Surge. Things like missing your shots. You know, you're not gonna hit your shots to the headshot all the time by 100%. You're gonna miss a couple bullets there and there. You're gonna lose a lot of DPS. So in my eyes, get the hell out of here. Go to the Poopsie Garbanzo tier. Next up, we have the Purple Scar. For PvP, I'm gonna put the Purple Scar in A tier. It's good because the new calibrations are making these ARs better. If there was no calibrations for this AR, I would put this in B tier. But since we have fire rate calibrations, new mods, this gun deserves to be in A tier. It's definitely better than Shrapnel AK. In CBT3, the Purple Scar wasn't that great, and I would prefer to use the Pioneer AK instead of this. But definitely the Scar, you have to build it off crit. If we take a look at its passive, 35% chance to trigger Power Surge when hitting an enemy. Crit hits increase the chances of triggering Power Surge by 30% based on weapon's trigger chance though. It's not 65% total chance now to trigger it. It's base chance. So since the base chance is 35%, you will be just increasing 10% more when you crit to trigger Power Surge on an enemy. And then there's the 30% chance of triggering Power Surge based on weapon's trigger chance. So that's just a passive. So in total, you're getting 50% chance to trigger Power Surge. Actually, sorry, not 50. It's 55. For PvE, this gun is definitely A tier as well. And for PvP, it's A tier as well. And it's good for close range, medium range. The next weapon is MP7 Power Surge. We are going to put this weapon on S tier for PvE. And for PvP, this gun is going to go in A tier. And the reason why this gun is S tier for PvE is because it shoots fast, it has a fast fire rate, And if you put a heavy calibration on it, so you have more magazine size, so you will have 80 bullets in your SMG, you will be shooting for a long time and triggering a lot of power surges. As well as, let's talk about the Cradle buff, or the Cradle perk, the nerf about it. You will no longer gain 25% power surge damage when reloading a weapon. Instead, you gain when you kill an enemy. And then you gain shock elemental damage as well, 18%. So that's a buff for PvE, and for PvP, that's terrible. So that's why before this gun was S tier for PvP, but it became A tier. Actually close to B tier, because you know why? Because the gun is not good for medium range. It's only good for close range, I would say. It melts in close range, but medium range, you will lose to a Scar if you're fighting with an MP7. Obviously, triggering power surge far range with MP7 is hard because the recoil, and it shoots fast, so unless you have anti-recoil script, so I mean, then sure, but MP7, A tier for PvP, PvE, S tier. Next gun we have is the Recurved Crossbow, obtained for free, and it got a nerf recently. It's still okay though. Hitting a enemy with a weak spot, you will mark them, and you will deal more damage to them, and you will gain 15% crit rate when you mark them, or when you swap to another weapon and shoot them. So gun is good support weapon. So let's grab that crossbow and put it in A tier for PvE, the crossbow, and for PvP, the crossbow is definitely in tier. Yep, crossbow can stay in D tier for PvP. Then we have the fast gunner Memento. For PvE, I'll put this gun in B tier. It could be in A tier, but I didn't like the gun. You have to build this gun with weak spots plus crit damage, so because if you don't hit weak spots, your wide damage is going to be very low, like 4k to 5k damage, so that's why you want to build crit with this gun, and it will be okay for PvE if you build it right. I'll put it in A tier, you know? I'll give some love to it. For PvP, this gun is B tier, I guess. It's usable. You could be using this. It's the same as Wildfire, basically, except the pistol just shoots slower. But you can make it usable in PvP. The reason why it's in B tier is because, let's take a look at it. His grant a 36% chance to trigger Fast Gunner. Chances double with a weak spot hit. When Fast Gunner is triggered, 1 bullet will be reloaded to your magazine. Each shot has a 40% chance to consume 1 bullet. And you basically consume 2 bullets instead of 1 if you shoot. It's a chance. You can see here, when extra bullets are consumed, attack plus 80%. So you consume 2 bullets, but you do extra damage. Almost double damage, but it's not really double damage, 80%. And this gun shoots slow. Fire rate 145, Wildfire 190. Slower than Wildfire. The problem is with this gun, in PvP you will not utilize the fast gunner stacks because you have to stack them and they disappear fast. So that's why it's almost like B tier or C tier, I would say. You cannot utilize the gun fully. So I don't know if I want to put this in B tier or C tier, bro. I'll keep this in B tier for PvP. For PvE, this can still in A tier. Next up, Bounce Kuma SMG. For PvP, I think Bounce could work, dude. Bounce could work, man. It could be in A tier. Wanna know why? Because they buffed Bounce. And I was testing this gun. It did quite a decent amount of DPS. With good mods, you could make Bounce work for the SMG only though. But the problem is that if you're medium range, the SMG is completely useless, so it doesn't work anymore. So it's only good for close range melting. Actually, I might put this in B tier just because of that range problem. Because the MP7, you could shoot people medium range, but that power surge proc will do some damage, while the Bounce, it won't do that much damage. But Bounce needs a little bit more testing, so I don't know. I cannot really put this in B tier or C tier or anywhere, because I didn't test this gun, but the gun sounds interesting, very interesting. For PvE though, the Bounce SMG could be in B tier or almost like C tier because it doesn't do that much damage. It has AoE damage because bullets bounce off enemy to enemy when you shoot and trigger Bounce. But the problem is that it doesn't deal, it's just, the damage just feels weird. It doesn't deal enough damage, bro, for some reason. And even if your mods are good, I had good mods for the Bounce and the damage, it took me like 40% longer to clear a Theta dungeon versus if I used a Jaws pistol or if I used any of these S tier weapons, you know? So it just falls to B category. Next up, the Gulplore Unstable Bomber. For PvE, I will give Gulplore B tier as well. You have to hit headshots to trigger Unstable Bomber. If you don't hit a headshot, there's no explosions happening. For PvP, I will give this gun a B tier or C tier as well, because you have to hit headshots to trigger Blast Bomb. And you know, when the bingo is meta right now with these stupidly stupid boots, Gulplore is going to be B tier. By the way, the sniper was S tier in CBT3 because it was very good. But now, since we have the bingo meta, again, it's going to be in B tier for now. This gun, by the way, could be A tier for early game PvP if you don't have bingo. because it's literally 2 shots and the enemy's dead. But yeah, end game, definitely bingo is better than this. End game, this gun actually becomes C tier, really. Like you can see right here, hitting a weak spot grants 80% chance to trigger unstable bomber. It's not even 100%. And then when you defeat an enemy, explosion range is minus 10% and damage plus 20% for 30 seconds up to 5 stacks. So it just stacks more and more the more enemies you defeat. You have to hit headshots to trigger that blast bomb. So for PvE, I mean, this gun could be A tier, but I'm putting this in B tier anyways, actually. Because it's a sniper, you know, 6 bullets, 7 bullets you have to shoot, you have to reload. It takes forever, so that's why, just because of the mag cap. Now let's go to the Dual Fury Burn Shotgun. We're gonna put this gun in B tier for PvP. It's not that good because you have to shoot the enemy with the last bullet to burn them. And again, when it comes to these things, when you have to take like 2 to 3 seconds to inflict some debuff on the enemy, that's exactly when the gun just becomes meh. Because again, there's other guns that can just shoot 2 bullets at you and boom, trigger some effect on you and you're dead. This gun was very good in CBT3. This gun was basically meta. It was the most broken gun. Everyone was complaining about this gun. So the devs nerfed it and now it's useless. They made burn too weak now. The shotgun for the crank, basically everything. But this gun is good for PvE. I'll give you that. It's A tier. Because if you combine it with a crit build, you will deal a little bit of a burn damage and you will deal some crit damage because there's drifter gauntlets that will basically let you do more damage, crit damage, when an enemy is burning. So this gun might be fun for PvE, especially with the magazine capacity. Plus, when you're shooting a burning target, you refill bullets as you shoot. So for PvE, this gun is definitely fun, and as well as even more fun if you fully optimize it. I got 100k DPS with this weapon, but it got a nerf because of the reload speed. The shotgun became a little bit worse. So you would have to run heavy style for this Dual Fury to compensate for that bullet reload speed, because all shotguns got hit with the nerf. The Doombringer got hit with the nerf. The Dual Fury got hit with the nerf. The reload speed just made the weapon meh. But I'm still gonna keep this in A tier for PvE though. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna put Memento back in B tier because it's a pistol and the magazine size is annoying and the reloading is also annoying. So next up is the Shrapnel Scar, Golden Scar. For PvP, we're gonna put this gun in B tier. You can use this gun close to medium range. If you used Cage Helmet with explosive shrapnel, then instead of 20 procs for shrapnel, you would need to trigger shrapnel 10 times to hit that 10k damage or 20k damage of shrapnel, you know? But we have these, Corrosion, we have Bingo, Wildfire, we have Jaws, we have all of these weapons that are broken, so the Scar just becomes you know, in PvP. So it's B tier for PvP. For PvE, the Scar goes into S tier for sure. This gun got nerfed, by the way, because the one cradle perk is missing. But it's still an S tier, man. The gun is just melting. Also, this gun is overrated, and I'm sick of hearing this gun every single time when I see people, oh, my gun does 2 million damage, my gun does 5 million damage. Of course it does 5 million damage. Because you're literally shooting the target and your ammo is not ending. Of course it's gonna do 3 million, 2 million damage. This gun is so overrated though. Like, everyone is just praising this gun. Honestly, I don't judge people what gun they use. But Shrapnel for me is just boring. But anyways, this gun is definitely S tier for PvE. B tier for PvP. Next up we have the Burn Boom Boom. Guys, I know you love this gun. It's definitely not going into S tier. This gun for PvE is gonna go into B tier for PvE. It's okay. I mean, with no mods though, it's a little bit poopsy. But once you optimize it, yeah, it's gonna be better. Although other builds out DPSs it, you know, you have to shoot with this gun to trigger burn and rely on burn to do damage. As well as if you build it with status and elemental damage and crit damage mix, then you could make it work. But again, the burn damage is not something really amazing as it used to be. Burn got a lot of nerfs since CBT3, so I'm putting this in B tier for PvE. Organize it like this, Poopsie Garbanzo, because this literally doesn't fit, man. Next, we're gonna go with the Fortress Warfare Black Panther. And this Black Panther for PvE is actually not bad. I'll put this in A tier because once you you can scope in and stack your damage and it does like decent amount of damage. This gun is a great support weapon, by the way, as well. If we take a look at there it is, Black Panther. After aiming for 3 seconds, trigger Fortress Warfare, cooldown 10 seconds. Attack increases for longer you aim, up to 30%. Important, attack. Attack is a different multiplier. It's not weapon damage bonus. So if I go to my inventory right now, you can see there's no attack damage bonus. It's not weapon damage bonus. No, it's not. It's a different multiplier that is not shown anywhere in your inventory. That's what makes this gun good, because all the damage is calculated in a multiplicative order. You take damage bonus, multiply with another damage bonus, multiply with another damage bonus. Obviously, it all depends on the base damage as well. It triggers Fortress Warfare as well with this gun. It's decent. And then after triggering Fortress Warfare, you will gain 3 stacks of Brutal Mayhem and weak spot damage, 25%. Every shot reduces the effect by 1%. Yeah, the gun just does decent damage for PvE, so it's a good weapon. It's also a free weapon. You do not need to spend Starchrome for it. So definitely PvE is A tier, and for PvP, I will put this gun in C tier because Bingo exists, man. Just use Bingo instead of this. So you don't have to like rely on hitting headshots. Like honestly, now snipers, you don't have to hit headshots, man, because of the stupid meta. Because the bullseye, bro. You have the shoes, you have them on, you hit the enemy once, you swap your sniper, you swap it again, boom, you hit one shot, next shot is weak spot hit. Like, come on. You don't have to hit headshots in this game anymore with snipers. And that kind of pisses me off because there's no skills involved anymore. It's just literally a casual NPC sitting in a bush. You're dead. Like, come on, man. Where's the skill in this game? That's the one thing I hate about snipers. Yes, I use the sniper myself. Yes, I use these boots because obviously I'm not going to beat someone that uses these boots. Yes, I can aim in the head, but I'm not gonna beat them if they're using the boots. There's nothing I can do about it. I wish they nerfed the boots though, or changed it a little bit. I don't know, man. But there's nothing we can do. Next up is the Frost Vortex shotgun, and this is gonna go to this gun, by the way, is only working together with the Icy Rain. If you do not use the Icy Rain, then do not use the shotgun. If you use the Icy Rain, then you can use the shotgun. So here, actually, let's start with Frost Vortex Icy Rain first. For PvE, this gun is gonna go in B tier. It could go in A tier. Actually, you know what? I'll give it an A tier for PvE. Icy Rain, A tier, okay? I'll give this gun some love, but I will tell you that this gun is annoying to use. You will waste a lot of bullets. You're going to be shooting the target. Literally, you're going to be shooting the target, and the target is going to take like 400 bullets or 300 bullets to kill if it's an elite enemy. While other weapons like weapons like Wildfire, Doombringer, or I don't know, this sniper, Jaws, couple shots and the elite enemy is dead. Like with Jaws, it would take like what, 10 bullets to kill an elite enemy, 12, 13. With the bullseye sniper, it would take like what, 6 shots or 5 shots to kill an elite. But with this gun, Icy Rain, you would take like, I don't know, 200, 300 bullets to kill an enemy. Like the SMG damage is low, so you have to optimize this SMG with mods. Obviously, you have to build it with crit rate, crit damage, because Icy Rain depends heavily on crit rate to proc Frost Vortex. And Frost Vortex for PvE is good. You can wear the vest for more PSI intensity damage. So when you trigger Frost Vortex, you're just basically going to do 100% more damage with Frost Vortex, which is going to be like, what, 3k damage with the vest on. So, you know, and you can have unlimited healing with this gun. Like when you shoot bullets and Frost Vortex procs over and over, you'll just heal up over and over. So that's why it's good for PvE. A lot of people praise this gun, so I'll just put this in A tier for you guys, I guess, so I don't get spitted on in the comments, because I know people are going to be like, well, this gun is so good, and you know, like, whatever. I'm not going to deal with that. Anyways, this gun also reloads your bullets as you trigger Frost Vortex, so that's that. It's a great weapon for PvE. However, for PvP, this gun falls to C tier, maybe B tier, actually. Nah, close range, this gun melts, okay? Once you get frozen, you're stuck. You cannot move. You cannot roll out. You cannot do anything. This gun is literally a troll weapon, though. Like, it's good for trolling other people and annoying the F out of other people. You wear that vest that freezes other people, and it's just literally, you just can't move. You just cannot move. However, for wars, this gun doesn't do much. All you can do with this weapon is just shoot the enemy, freeze them, and that's it. However, if you're medium range, GG. It's over for you, brother. It's over for you. You cannot do anything medium range with this gun. But this gun is good for supporting your teammates, freezing other people. You know, let's say you're doing wars and some people are rushing or trying to like throw C4s or something behind a wall. You just shoot it with Icy Rain. They will get all of them frozen. And if you use the weapon that is this shotgun over here, which this shotgun, by the way, what it does is, let's get to that now. This shotgun right here is called Backfire. Hit at the enemy 5 times to trigger Frost Vortex. That is trash. Let's go to the part where after hitting enemies inside the Frost Vortex with your weapon 1 times, the enemy will be frozen for 3 seconds. Cooldown 4 seconds. Cannot be frozen again during this time. So why this gun is good only with Icy Rain is you freeze with Icy Rain, and then you swap your shotgun, you freeze them, and they will be frozen. They cannot shoot you back. They cannot do anything for 3 seconds. So combo wombo with Icy Rain for PvP, and that could be a A-tier weapon. But again, it's close range only. Medium range, you won't be able to do that. So it's a support weapon for defense in wars. In cargo, this is cancer. But if you're doing long range fighting, it's over for you. It's over. Forget that. You would have to swap builds. Forgot about PvE. For PvE, you wouldn't want to use the shotgun. Well, actually, I'm kidding. It could be in B tier. Because you can use Icy Rain, and if you're fighting an elite mob, you swap your shotgun, boop, the mob gets frozen and they cannot hit you. I'll put in a B tier, okay? For you guys out there. Next up, we have Fortress Warfare, Raining Cash. For PvE, this gun actually might work out. I'll put this in A tier. I never tried this gun. I never tried to build it, but if we take a look at the passive of the Raining Cash, reloading triggers Fortress Warfare. Cooldown is 10 seconds. So you have to reload one bullet. By the way, you don't have to reload the bullet. You just click R, swap the weapon, and Fortress Warfare is already triggered. So this gun is really good for support. You know, if you're using, let's say, Shrapnel or something, you can use either this, swap your shotgun, reload, swap back to the Shrapnel, shoot. You will deal more damage. But Bullseye is better because Bullseye effects last longer than Fortress Warfare. And what the shotgun has as well is the longer Fortress Warfare is maintained, the higher the attack, up to 40%. So the longer you're staying in Fortress Warfare and shooting with the shotgun, the more damage you'll do, up to 40%. And again, it says attack. Remember what attack is? It's a different multiplier. It's not weapon damage bonus. It's gonna give you a hella damage increase. While in Fortress Warfare, crit rate 30% increase. While in Fortress Warfare, damage reduction 30%. By the way, this only applies to the gun you're wearing. Like, let's say if you're holding the shotgun and then you swap to another gun, then you will not get that crit rate 30%, neither the damage reduction. So this is only work. The last two passives are working only when you hold the gun. I will say that this gun is A tier for PvE, but for PvP, this gun is like C tier right there, or just useless. Unless you're sniping. So if you're sniping, long range, you swap to the shotgun, reload, quickly swap back to your sniper, shoot 2 bullets on the enemy. Yeah, cool, you'll do a little bit more damage, but that's it. You won't get that crit rate from that, you won't get that damage reduction because you have to hold a shotgun to get that. So it's useless for PvP. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we have left? The Jaws. The Bullseye. Alright. So where does Jaws belong in PvP? Jaws obviously belongs in S tier right now in PvP because if you take a look in the Cradle perks, there is this. Look at this. After reloading, instant damage, 25% for Unstable Bomber. Jaws got buffed again, bro. Even after the patch. Then look at this. After inflicting Unstable Bomber damage, the next Unstable Bomber damage inflicted on the same target again within 3 seconds is increased by 25%. More damage. 50% damage on Unstable Bomber total. And then guess what? The Jaws pistol as well, the passive comes in place. When you hit a weak spot, you gain 30% elemental damage. Sometimes in PvP, you could hit that one bullet of weak spot and you'll just do more blast damage. Which is, that's crazy. By the way, I was gonna put Jaws in A tier right here in PvP, but when I moved to the new server and I saw the Cradle perk, you know what? Back to S tier, baby. Alright, so this gun is S tier for PvP, no doubt. This gun is extremely broken for early game. You will 2-shot, 3-shot players in early game. However, in end game, people become tanky. People stack, damage reduce. You will take a long time to kill people. Unless your server doesn't know how to play the game, then maybe, yeah, you will kill them in 2-3 shots. But at least in my server, people know how to stack damage reduce. You can gain up to 130 damage reduce, by the way. And the gun doesn't do that much damage. My blast damage starts to do like 500 damage, My crit damage, blast damage will be like 1k damage. And then my base bullet damage crit is 800. And then my damage is like 400. So gun becomes garbanzo a little bit in endgame, but it all depends on the player you're fighting. If you're fighting some noob, of course you're gonna do a lot of damage. If you're fighting some good player who knows what they're doing, how they're building, what they're doing with their character and how they're optimizing their damage reduce, of course you're gonna do less damage. So it's just, I'm just ranking this weapon based of how it performs, not based of what other people build. So it's an S tier weapon because of the new Cradle buff for PvP. Combine that with the stagger weapon mod where, you shoot the bullet, pew pew, and then the target does this, something like that, they get knocked or something. Yeah, that just makes it completely broken. Now for PvE, I'm gonna put this gun as well in S tier, but here's the problem. I would put this in A tier almost closely. Almost I'll put this in A tier, but I'll put this in S tier because It has AoE damage, but its single target DPS is not as good as other weapons like Wildfire or something. The AoE damage is great, like you can shoot a couple bullets on an enemy, boom, if there's like 3 to 4 enemies around them, they will just get blasted into the smithereens. But yeah, gun is good for PvE. Now we have the 3 guns left, the bullseye. I saved it for you guys out there. Wildfire, let's start with that. For PvP, S tier, no doubt, S tier weapon. This gun is amazing. I'm using it. This is my main build, and I have it as 3 stars. I'm gonna quickly go through what it does. 60% chance to trigger the bullseye when hitting a target. There's an 80% chance to spread the bullseye to 1 enemy within 15 meters. So if you have 3 people around, just, you know, holding hands, and you just shoot on one guy, the bullseye can spread to the other dude. If there's no enemies, and if you're doing a 1v1, then you will just gain a weapon damage plus 25% for 10 seconds. Notice how it says weapon damage 25%, and on the very end it says, when hitting a weak spot of marked enemies, attack plus 3% for 10 seconds up to 3 stacks. Attack is different. Attack, again, is a multiplier, a new multiplier that you're getting if you use this gun. Your base damage is going to be so high, and when hitting a weak spot, you don't really have to hit the weak spot, because if you combine it with these boosts right here, after triggering the bullseye, the next one bullet hitting a marked target will count as a weak spot hit. So you don't have to hit a headshot, you just need to hit the target, and then just the procs of these boots are going to hit the weak spot for you. So that's what makes it so broken, these boots, man. All I can say is the meta right now for PvP, this Wildfire gun right here. For PvE, this gun is also in S tier. And it has a lot of damage. Single target damage is insane with this gun. You just add crit damage, weak spot damage with it, and the gun is just shredding. Obviously, you don't really have to go crit damage. For PvE though, it's more important to go with weak spot damage. For PvP, it's better to like kind of balance it around with crit damage and weak spot damage. It all depends though. And for the bullseye shotgun Doombringer right now, let's talk about this gun. It's gonna go into the A tier. But it's going to go into the A tier because of the nerf. If it wasn't nerfed, it would be still in S tier. And it would be broken. But this gun, once you pick it up, you don't need good mods to make it work. The gun is already good with no mods. But the gun got nerfed, so I'm going to put it in A tier. Obviously, you can make this gun work again and it becomes S tier. If you make the gun, if you get 200% magazine capacity or 175% magazine capacity. If you get 175 magazine capacity total with this gun, you will be able to get 6 bullets with this gun. But that's a long-ass grind. You have to get substats magazine capacity, you have to get magazine capacity helmet mod, you have to roll best and slot mods to make this gun S tier. So, you know, that's why I'm gonna put this for PvE in A tier for now. If you just needs a lot of optimizing, man, to make this gun work again after the nerf. But it's still good. The gun still works. The only downside of it is that you have to be close to enemies to mark enemies, because the trigger chance is very low if you're far away. That's the biggest nerf of this gun, but it's still great. For PvP, Doombringer is gonna be on B tier now because the nerf on the range. If the range wasn't nerfed, then it would be like A tier or S tier still. But the range nerf is what makes it like suffer so much. Just makes the gun handicapped a little bit in PvP, dude, I'm telling you. Because you were able to mark enemies, you know, on far range, which what made it very strong. Maybe they will bring it back soon, I don't know. It depends how far you are. If you're 10 meters away, then the gun is like useless. If you're very close, then the gun is A tier. You know, if you're like very, very close, if you're like fighting close to each other. But I'm gonna put this gun for B tier in PvP now. As well as this gun passive right here is after you trigger bullseye, damage reduction plus 5% for 8 seconds up to 4 stacks. You will gain damage reduction and it stacks to 20% total. So it'll become more tanky when you are marking these enemies, as well as you get more crit rate when you mark enemies. I'm being a little bit biased here, but the weapon could be an A tier if you're doing Warband Wars, if you're just defending in close range quarters, you know. So that's that, but I'm keeping this in B tier because of the nerf. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we have the bullseye bingo. Then the last thing, or the last weapon we have, is obviously the bullseye sniper. I mean, I'm not gonna even talk about this weapon anymore. It's just, everyone knows it's broken, bro. Just get this weapon if you wanna inflict crazy damage. It's good for bossing. It's good for PvP. Yep, it goes right there. S tier for PvE, S tier for PvP. Not even gonna bother talking. The video is already like 1 hour, 30 minutes. I have to edit it out. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the tier list for these weapons. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the PvP tier list, and this is PvE. So the doc list will be provided in the description if you guys want to see it, as well as in the pinned comments. If you want to check out my mods list, my specialization list, all of these docs will be listed in my pinned comments. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed. That's it for the tier list. It's done. Let me know what you guys want to see for my future Once Human content in the comments. Next video, I'm probably going to cover how damage is applied, how damages are calculated, damage formulas, and all of that BS. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and peace out.